it's Robo, and we're here with a brand new video series called Robo Philosophy, where I give you the tactical and logistical tips and tricks that I use in my airsoft adventures. And as a first episode, we're going to cover something you guys have been asking for quite some time, and that is an overview of all the equipment I take to a Milsim op. So that said, check it out. So starting with the loadout bag before we get to the gun case. This is an LBT wheeled medium loadout bag that I got from LBT, obviously on a sale. Otherwise, it's kind of ridiculously expensive to get, but I gotta be honest, it has changed my organizational life when it comes to airsoft. Now it's important, whatever bag you choose to use, make sure it's something that has organizational capabilities. There's nothing worse than just having a pile of airsoft stuff in some general use bag. It's gonna make your life really, really difficult when it comes to keeping track of your items and making sure you're packing all the right things. So that being said, let's start to show you what I put in this bag as base items to take to a Milsim. So first and foremost, what's gonna go in the bag is generally my BDUs. Now, whether this is a green side or a tan side set is kind of inconsequential, and it depends on what I'm going to be playing. So this is just my multicam Tropic green side kit, and it's just going to go in the bag in the very bottom of the largest compartment. So next to go in the kit is a plate carrier. In this case, it's a Mission-Spec EOC or Essentials only plate carrier, and this is a Red Wolf edition, which has the additions to allow me to mate my Haley Strategic D3 chest rig to that. Now, really important to take to Milsim ops is a good pair of footwear. Here are my Forces 2 by Salomon. These are a mid-height Gore-Tex waterproof boot that I'll also be doing a review on. Now, I'm not actually going to put these in the bag. I usually wear these on the plane or during the car ride, and there's a reason why. The reason is I put another pair of boots in this bag. You're going to see a standard philosophy that I use, and that's pretty much 1 is none, 2 is 1, and if possible, 3 is 2. In this case, I think it's overkill to take 3 pairs of boots, but I definitely do think it's important to take at least 2. And that is just accounting for any failures you might have to something really important, such as footwear. Now, to save space, what I actually do is I put these between the 2 plate pockets of the plate carrier, so it's not taking up extra real estate. It's just taking up a little bit of extra geometric height. Now, something else I'll generally pack inside this bag before I start to fill this other compartment is actually spare magazines. These aren't my primary ones. My primary magazines go in my gun case. But this bag has nice little stowage pockets in the side that allow me to kind of file these away and not worry about them. So now covering some of the bigger items that are going to go in this right side compartment. I generally start with a bucket. You always want to take a good helmet to a Milsim game. Whether you're using a camera or not, a helmet is really important because while these are not ballistic or military grade helmets in a lot of cases, especially if you're using a repro, these things will save your noodle if you fall. It's like a bike helmet in that sense, so it's really important to wear one. Now, in terms of your helmet, you want to generally have some form of light marking device for when you're killed, especially when you get into low light situations such as nighttime games. Now, I have an S&S Precision Manta strobe as well. That's a little bit of overkill. It's more for the looks than anything, but something like a V-light or an E-light is really important for nighttime kill recognition. Now, again, going back to that philosophy is 1 is none, 2 is 1. Here's a set of Cry G3 knee pads, and here's a second set just in case. I don't want to be finding myself in the position where I maybe have destroyed a pair or have lost a pair and not have a suitable backup. So you'll see me bring 2 of these each time. Now, in terms of eye protection, I bring both an eye shield system, mostly for sun shielding, but in the cases where Milsim allows me to wear these, I'll bring these, and I'll also have my full seal as backup, or for a Milsim that requires me to have full seal, again, I have those on me as well to abide by all safety rules of a Milsim. Also going in this compartment, I'll put my secondary weapon, in this case being a RWA Nighthawk Custom Covert Ops 1911. Now, of course, it's not an Echo 1 weapon, but I've got an Echo 1 secondary case, which helps protect it during travel. Now, as a last of the big items that generally go in my right side of this case, where you put it is kind of inconsequential wherever it fits, is my belt system. Now, this is a Ronin Tactics Senshi belt that has an inner belt and an outer belt, kind of like a battle belt system, and it'll go right in there. Now, speaking of what goes on my belt, It's really important during a Milsim to have some sort of empty magazine retention system, like a dump pouch, a retention system for your secondary or pistol, like this Kydex holster here. And for me, this is just an extra retention system on my first line for magazines. Going in next is a reliable sling system for my primary weapon. This is kind of important during Milsims just because of the time you're on the field. You want to be able to retain your weapon without always having to hold on to it, whether that's during transitions or during rest periods. So this is just a Magpul MS3 sling. It's the sling of a primary choice for me. I will also take as a backup my Way of the Gun Frank Proctor minimalist sling that's on another weapon right now, but I do take 2 slings just in case one breaks or one is lost for any reason. Now with me at a Milsim, while I do have weapon mounted illumination options such as my Inforce APL, which is on my pistol, or my Inforce WML, which is on my rifles, I also take a handheld option. This is important because as in the real world, you don't always actually want to point a weapon at somebody or something just to shine a light on it. So I will actually have a handheld light on me at all times, just so I can navigate it using my hand rather than, say, a weapon. Now for these upper pockets, I keep smaller items that I don't want flying around inside the actual kit bag during travel. So it's more of an organizational thing. I keep certain items in this one and certain items in the left one, just so my brain remembers where these things are. Now again, going back to the philosophy is 1 is none, 2 is 1, 3 is 2. Well, I bring a ton of pairs of gloves, even ones that I actually don't wear or like anymore, such as these Condor ones. I honestly despise these kinds of gloves at this point in time. I find them too restrictive and not enough tactile kind of feel with the weapon. But in the worst case, I'd rather wear some glove than no glove. So I put a pair of those in this pocket, as well as 2 pairs of Mechanics Covert Vents. These I actually do love. So again, I've got backups for my backups for my backups. So those go in here. Also in this pouch is where I'll put head wraps or face wraps if I need them. That being some sort of head wrap or do-rag to keep sweat out of my eyes while I've got my helmet on, or something like a multi-wrap, like this Condor multi-wrap, just in case, for either my face or my head should I need it. Now these next items that are gonna go inside this pocket are actually really important, and you would be surprised, or not surprised, how often these things get forgotten by most airsofters, and that is kill rag devices. Now these are the Elite Force quick pull ones. I absolutely love these just because they're convenient. They can go on your chest rig or your plate carrier for quick deployment. Here's an old style gen, here's a new style gen. I've got another one on a different plate carrier of mine. So these definitely go in there. But that's only 2 of those, and those things are kind of like mounted options. So I also bring a handheld rag that's red, because that's important sometimes, as well as a secondary backup to that. Now this is a kind of like a chamois wipe that the EVIC crowd kind of gives out. I use this for wiping off my goggles in the field should it be raining and such. Same with my GoPro camera. So both of these are going to go there as well. Now as for this left side compartment, it's where I generally put a lot of my administrational, cleaning or maintenance style stuff, whether that be replacements for broken items or tools themselves. So speaking of that, I always carry with me a small tool set that I need, should I need them in the field. These I will generally wear in my Assaulter back panel by Faro Concepts, just so I do have them in the field. But again, for travel, I actually stick them just in this left side pouch. Along with that, while it seems ridiculous, I also do have a set of lock picks on me, because in the spirit of Milsim, you never know when you're going to need lock picks, and in the case of emergency, you never know when you're going to need a case of lock picks. So I put those in there as well. Yes, those are completely legal to travel with. Now I also put a replacement set of quick laces for my Salomon Forces 2 boots, just because again, if the boots work but the laces broke, well, then the boots don't really work. So this is just in case of emergency. Now I also put a set of ACE bandages inside here as well. This is to comply with a lot of American Milsim rules, but again, a lot of Milsims these days are requesting that you use a longer bandage type item for medic rules. So I put those in there as well. Now I'm also a user of Fog Tech wipes, so I put a big bag of Fog Tech wipes in there as well. I'll use multiple of these per day just because I've got terrible fogging issues because I'm a hot and sweaty dude. So I put those in there as well. Now I put some sort of map retention system in my bag as well. This is for the field, so I'll keep this in a cargo pocket with an actual map inside. This is to keep it from getting wet or destroyed while I'm out in the field, so that goes as well. And while it seems small, I also put in there a hydration attachment for source hydration systems. What this allows me to do is actually plug this into the end of my hydration tube and fill my reservoir from a bottle without having to take off all my kit and take out my reservoir bag, etc., etc. So that also goes in there as well. Now this center compartment I generally use for smaller items that I don't want bouncing around, and the first of that being my radio and extra battery. So I put these in this center console. I can't stress this enough, communications is absolutely key during a Milsim event. If you're going to a Milsim event and you do not have a radio, you are already screwing up, so that's something you want to make a priority. Now for my extra magazines for my secondary weapon that don't fit in my carry case, I actually wrap them up in a barrel muzzle device. Now some Milsims require that you have a barrel sock or barrel bag, barrel plug, some don't. I have one on me at all times anyways, just in case. So that goes in the center compartment. Going along with my radio, I put my earpieces in a bag and put it in this center console as well, just because I don't actually like leaving the actual functional earpieces on my kit where they can get ripped off and lost during transportation or management of your items throughout the event itself. Now, while this does look like a canister of Noon tablets, which are a electrolyte tablet that goes into water that I use for hydration purposes during a Milsim event, this one actually contains just a stick of camouflage paint that I use from time to time. It has both green and brown, so a lighter color and a darker color for contrast, and I'll keep it in this case just so it doesn't accidentally open and paint up everything inside my kit. So that'll also go in here just for security reasons. Now some other things that may go into this kit bag, depending on if it's an American or if it's a Canadian-based Milsim op, some things I will leave out and buy when I get down to the States because it's precarious to travel with these things. Now if it's a Canadian Milsim, I'll have, of course, a big bag or box even of CO2 cartridges, and that's both for my secondary pistol, which is currently CO2 driven, and for my Thunderbee cores. And then again, I would put the shells also in this bag. Now, if it's an American-based Milsim, I don't really take these just because I don't often use them, and it just adds weight where I don't need to be putting weight. An important thing to realize about traveling to the States by air is that everything is measured by weight and size. And if this gets too heavy, or if the bag itself is too big, it starts to cost you a lot of money. And by that I mean it can cost you an extra $100 per bag that's oversized or overweight each way of that trip. So you can see how you gotta actually be pretty economical and smart about how you pack this thing. So that pretty much takes care of the actual loadout bag itself. I would then just close it up, and you'll notice that I haven't used either of these two front pockets or the back pocket that comes in this loadout bag, mostly because that adds dimensional width and length to a bag that I've already got spec'd out to be a certain size so it doesn't cost me overage fees. Now another big tip to you here. What I recommend you do is you actually put a copy of your itinerary, i.e. your flight schedule and where you're gonna be staying for hotels. That's not so somebody can just arbitrarily look through that and know where you're going. That's in case this bag gets lost by the airline, and it allows the airline staff to know exactly where you are for your trip so they can get this to you if they find it. That actually happened to me at Broken Home. I lost this bag full of all of this expensive stuff for about 3/4 of a day. But I did get it back in the middle of the night because they knew where to bring it to me. So that's an important tip. Make sure you're putting a copy of your itinerary in here. And of course, do attach to this bag somewhere your name, address, phone number, stuff like that. So if it goes lost, again, they've got a way of contacting you later down the road to return your expensive items. So with the larger loadout pack taken care of, I'm gonna go over what I take in my secondary stowage and carry option, which is an LBT 3-day assault pack. Now in this bag is where I put things like clothes, my toiletries, things like that. So let's just cover that real quick. Now in this bag, because I'm a media guy, I make GoPro videos, I take pictures. Something important that really goes in this bag is going to be a laptop of some form. And along that same idea, I bring my camera with me, which I will put in the camera bag, all my GoPro accessories, my DSLR, my media cards, my batteries, things like that. Now, an important point. Some of you might be sitting there thinking, Robo, you didn't show me where you put your batteries in your loadout bag, and that's actually a really good point. By habit, I don't put them in my loadout bag, and that's because when flying, they cannot be in your checked luggage. Things like CR123 lithium batteries and lithium batteries or lipos for your AEGs have to go on your carry-on, and this is because they have to be accessible if they light on fire. When they're in the bottom stowage area of a plane, no one can get to them while you're in the air, and that's a real hazard. Now, going one further, I carry all of my AEG lipo bags in a lipo-safe, fireproof bag just in case. So these will both go into my carry-on. What will also go in this bag is things like my undergarment options or clothing options that I'm going to use underneath my BDUs. So really important, I take 3 or 4 pairs of compression style athletic underpants. I don't wear cotton underpants because that can get really chafy once they get sweaty. On that same level, I take a bunch of pairs of tactical or outdoor based socks. Now, I generally bring both of my original SWAT tactical socks plus some Kodiak outdoor socks. And along those same lines as well, I also wear compression style base layer t-shirts that wick away moisture and things while I'm getting sweaty in a long sleeve BDU top. So I'll take 3 or 4 of these as well and put them in the bag. Now while flying, I'm wearing technically a pair of my Salomon boots with another pair of Salomon boots in my bag. I do want to account for some sort of comfortable footwear to wear while I'm not actually on the Milsim field, whether that be a pair of running shoes or casual skate shoes, whatever you feel comfortable wearing, just not something that you've been wearing all day. This can change your life immensely. So for me, it's something like these LALO Zodiac Recon running shoes, or even these LALO Bloodbird athletic shoes. Either or, it's just something comfortable that I can slip inside the bag and also take with me. So now getting down to the hardware specific items, I'm gonna make a very strong point, and that is, I do suggest everyone at some point in time invest in a hard case type rifle case. And that is because when it comes to flying on an airline, you actually need a hard style case of some sort. Now this doesn't really apply if you're just driving around somewhere, but at the end of the day, if you ever plan on taking a plane or you just want the actual protective qualities of a hard case, I'd say go out and grab one. Now this is obviously a Pelican case. It's the 1700 case, and there's a specific reason why it's the 1700, which I'll talk about in a second. You don't need to invest in Pelican. There's excellent other options out there like Seahorse or other companies at a lower price point like that that offer similar protection. Now going back to why I chose the 1700. The 1700 fits one rifle plus accessories comfortably, as you'll see in a second, but it limits the size to just under the limit for oversized baggage on an airline. To go to the 1750, which may fit 2 rifles comfortably in there, means that you're paying an extra $100 each way of travel on an airline. So I didn't want to do that. So this is where you're going to see where I diverge from the two is one is none philosophy, and that is I do only take one rifle. Now this is a risk, but it's a calculated risk based on cost versus reward. At Milsims, there are plenty of tech wizards running around that are more than happy to show you their prowess at fixing your stuff when it blows up. So I take that risk of bringing only one rifle at the expense of not having to pay $200 extra in baggage fees. So as you see, I have the foam insert for my case, which I've cut out all the fancy shapes for all the things I carry in here. Now that is just providing extra security while my things are going through the air travel system. And for any of you that have ever traveled by air, you probably know and very well assume that your stuff is getting thrown around by someone who doesn't give a crap about how much the stuff is on the inside. So having the extra foam security is just a backup plan for that guy making, you know, 15 bucks an hour who's tossing your thing from one conveyor to another. As you can see clearly laid out here, I have a spot for my rifle. two different optic variants depending on, just my personal preference of what I want to be using on the day. I have my D-Bal and I have my 6 primary magazines that I use in a Milsim. I use 6 because I find this is the best balance between weight on my body, usefulness for my weapon, versus the time it literally takes me to get killed and have to respawn where I can reload anyways. Now in this little slit here, I keep an extra barrel and generally a extra hop-up system just in case mine wants to crap the bed for any reason. And I also keep a suppressor in this little compartment here as well. Again, just for giggles if I want to add it to the end of my weapon for looks. Now that pretty much takes care of the rifle case because it's pretty straightforward. It's there to protect the things that I'm taking, these expensive items that I've invested in, and make sure that they're safe and they get to my final destination. Now as a final item note that I want to leave you with, and that is, get good locks for your stuff, especially if you're going to be doing air travel. I put one of these TSA approved cable combination locks on one on my loadout bag, and I put 2 on my rifle case. Now the reason why I mentioned TSA approved, look for this logo. It's a little red kind of 3-dimensional square or cube looking icon. What that icon means is that it is TSA approved and has a small key lock in the side that allows TSA to open this lock without needing your combination, so they can inspect the contents and pass it through security should they have any concerns. And why that's important is because without this, they need to call you over the airport loudspeaker, hoping you're going to hear in time to get down there, deal with the situation, and still make boarding. If you don't, guess what? TSA doesn't care. You're not getting on the plane, or your items aren't getting on the plane. So again, look for a TSA approved lock, lock your gun case, and lock your actual loadout bag itself. So there you have it. That pretty much takes care of this first episode of Robo Philosophy. I hope you guys found it helpful. Now, coming down the pipes in terms of more episodes of Robo Philosophy, I'll be covering things like tactics that I use in the field and other logistical things that I use in terms of keeping myself organized, or things that help me plan for a Milsim event. So be on the lookout for those. They'll be coming in the future. Now as for my other video series, such as my gameplay and my reviews, those are still coming as well. I've got a ton of gameplay and reviews coming down the pipeline for you to enjoy soon also. So taking a quick second, as always, to thank my 2 most awesome sponsors, being Enola Gaye Tactical Smoke Grenades and Red Wolf Airsoft. Now both of these companies provide me support in such a way that allow me to do more airsoft, but more importantly, bring you guys more gameplay, more reviews, and now more philosophies for you guys to enjoy and to help you in your own airsoft adventures. So big thumbs up to both of those companies. Check out their websites. They're linked in the description below. Now, whether you did or didn't like this video, I kind of want to know about it, especially because it's the first episode of a new video series. So please do stop by the comment section below and drop me a line. I love the feedback and the conversation. And if you could do me a huge solid, that is like, subscribe, and share it with all your friends. Keeps me happening in this YouTube game. And as always, guys, until next time, keep having fun playing airsoft, being good community members, defend what you love. Later, guys.